Namaskaram to everybody. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe and healthy in these challenging times. My name is Aaditya Manjanath, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Academia Sinica in Taiwan. I work in the area of quantum chemistry simulations. I had come across this program called Angamardana program, and which is a physically intense practice designed by Sadhguru of Isha Foundation. And I had this desire to learn for quite some time. And then I had the opportunity to learn Angamardana last year, I think at the beginning of 2020, sometime in January, towards the end of January. And this was just before, the pandemic blew up on the global stage. So well, I had learned it from Mukul, an Isha Hatha Yoga teacher who has his own venture named Yogi Ray. This video is basically me talking about my experience in doing the Angamardana practice. Initial few days when I was practicing, there were a couple of things that discouraged me because one thing is, I wasn't used to this kind of physical intensity, and what I mean by that is, and I'm sure people who have already learned the practice, I'm sure they'd be able to relate to what I'm saying. Muscles that you thought never existed, start screaming at you saying, "Hey, I exist, I exist." And the other reason was, well, since I had never done this sort of a practice before, it. So initially, I used to take like 1.5 hours just for Angamardana itself. So after a few days or so, I thought, I'm taking 1.5 hours just to do only Angamardana itself. And I'd also learned the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. So 1.5 hours of Angamardana only, and then I have to do the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya and also the preparation part before you do Angamardana and Shambhavi together. And all this used to take about 2.5 or 2 hours 45 minutes or something, or some days even 3 hours. And I was thinking to myself, if I'm going to take 3 hours doing everything, then I don't see any incentive in doing Angamardana, because how will I be able to do it? Where will I get the time? So I was thinking, maybe I'll just do it once in a while or something if I get the time. Just be like a part-time aspiring yogi. So it's because of those two reasons, or two aspects. My Angamardana practice was not very regular. It would be on and off. Every time I'd skip and then restart, skip and restart, I'd find that it would be hard to, first of all, restart, and then really hard to sustain that for a longer period. I was a little annoyed and also kind of frustrated that I'm not able to sustain, although I learned this and I really wanted to do it. That desire was there, and I got the chance to learn. But then after that, I'm not able to keep up or sustain that. It was a little frustrating, at least, yeah, for me. Then I came across Mukul's sharing after the Mahashivratri celebrations at Isha. I think it was just a few days after that, he recorded about his experience and also talked about his Surya Shakti experience, which he was doing continuously up until Mahashivratri, and then also, yeah, he's been continuing with that. He's been consistent with that. And then he was talking about how when he was at the Isha Yoga Center volunteering for Mahashivratri, he said that his schedule, his routine was very, very jam-packed. And he still somehow had to find time to fit in his practices and then still keep up, because he had committed to himself that he would do those practices no matter what happens. And so that really got me thinking. I mean, if this dude can do it, then why can't I do it? When I was introspecting and thinking, then I also, reminded myself how my mental state was when I had committed myself to doing the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya for, mandala of 40 days or cycle of 40 days. When I when I committed myself to doing Shambhavi, I just don't care where it is, I just do it. So I just reminded myself of that and all that experiences and stuff. And then I thought, why can't I just replicate that state, that mental state? Why can't I project that onto, the Angamardana practice and then see how that goes? I remember the date when I started the mandala of Angamardana, and that was on the 21st of March this year, when I thought that where I thought that I should just do for 40 days sincerely and then see for myself what happens. Sadhguru was mentioning that he says it's a 25-minute practice. Well, I'm not there yet, but I can finish the practice. The shortest amount of time that I can take to finish my practice right now is about 35 minutes. But nowadays I'm slowing it down a little in order to correct some of the postures on my own. So that 35 gets extended to about 42 or 43 minutes. But yeah, it's somewhere in that range right now, 35 to 43 minutes. So once that ease of doing the practice started kicking in, it was pretty good. Uh, and then again, a lot of roadblocks were there. For example, there'd be a lot of work that would come in the middle, and then I would think maybe do I skip and just restart? But then when I think that, then the next thought that would come is, if that happens, then it's going to be very hard again to restart, given the experience I've had previously. So I just thought, you know what, okay, even though I'm starting late, let me just do it. I know my dinner is going to be late. So I had, I had this commitment within myself that probably a pretty harsh commitment, I'm not sure. But it's just what I said was to myself was, until unless I die, unless I break a limb, or unless I mean, sprain a limb to such an extent that I cannot do, or if I'm really physically incapable. Let's say I run a high temperature, and that there's that weakness that comes along with it, and that renders me incapable of it. Unless these four things happen, I'm going to keep up with my practice. So although sometimes I get the thought that, shall I just skip and then do restart the mandala from the next day and stuff, then I'd remind myself of these four things that would help me, establish this practice. So, and then I would say, okay, let's forget about an early dinner, or let's have a late dinner, but a light one or something like that. And I'd still do my practices. So the first thing that happened when I kept that commitment and I went through the mandala was, uh, ultimately it established that sense of hatha, because hatha in Kannada language is it means stubbornness. So it established that stubbornness in me, uh, in ensuring that I keep doing the practice no matter what happens. And I do Angamardana in the evenings because I find that very conducive for me. My body is more flexible and more cooperative than than during the day or in the morning. So so it established that hatha in me. I can tell you that for sure. And so ever since I started in March 21st, I've been doing it continuously for about 4+ months now. I've not taken a break. I've not skipped. Then a couple of other things, happened within me as I kept practicing. One was, of course, the strength in my body increased. many-fold compared to when, compared to when I was just doing it, on and off, or when I had not even learned this practice. So my strength increased multifold. The lightness in my body and the agility of my body was also enhanced. So just to give you a sense of what I mean by lightness is, it's more like nowadays it's I the way my body feels is, it's like as if it's made of air, and it's like my bones, muscles, every part of my body feels like air. So that's how light I feel, because I've been practicing it regularly for the last 4+ months without a day's break. So strength and agility and hatha, all these were established. But then along with this, I also started noticing how slightly misaligned my body was. For example, at the hips, or maybe shoulders, or my neck. I'm maybe unconsciously I'm used to keep tilting my neck to one side, and I'd have a lopsided look. So nowadays I'm more conscious about my alignment, and when I see that I'm going back unconsciously to the way I used to be in terms of alignment, I then correct myself, so that posturing corrections are also happening slowly within me, and I'm being conscious of that. And along with this, it also deepened my meditative practices like Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. As in, I can just sit very comfortably now, body is more at ease than before. And as a result, I'm being more present to the practice. So that's what Angamardana has done to me. So these were the few things that I've seen changes of happening in me over the last 4+ months. But I don't know what else Angamardana can do. So um, I'm just going to continue practicing and then seeing for myself what more will Angamardana make me aware of. And well, I hope this sharing helps you. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for your attention. Um, yeah, please take care of yourselves, and also use this opportunity to strengthen yourselves in all dimensions of life, physical, mental, emotions, and energy wise. And with that, I'd like to thank you all once again for your attention. So thank you very much. Namaskaram.